Greetings from Caerus26. Today, let's go over why passive-aggressive tactics ultimately become statist and force politics, while still on the anarchist path. Paradoxically, statism and the agora cannot coexist, but going past agora's untimely misfits with things like passive aggression, things simply just cannot be the same way that way as well. As we know from anarchism alone, things within passive aggression seem to be reasonable at first. We think that because passive aggression has to exist, things that we fight for non-violently will already be a good thing. However, this is not the case. A lot of people who go through passive aggression actually end up realizing a certain kind of polarization known as a clause, very familiar to people who think they have to be violent in the first place. It is no better to be a bully, but it is also no better to think you cannot do anything right. Someone who's passive-aggressive thinks that they can only do right by being nonviolent, but by being less suggestive, they don't know any better in the long run. And that is one of the horrors behind being passive-aggressive. A real anarchist knows that not everything they do is to omit the state from being relevant and even preventing it, and not permitting its policies and rulership over rules, and not so much having the lack thereof of rules. Knows that passive aggression is not the way to do about it. If someone is truly passive-aggressive, it means they don't want to progress the way they could be doing it, which means they're holding themselves back to begin with. Someone who is truly passive-aggressive, not alone withstanding, will think that they have to already avoid the problems they face because they have to make them in direct and lots of purpose and subtle. It is not fair for them to think they have to do that. And the anarchist knows that the best way to work towards your goals is to already be actively working towards them as their own example. And even if it's no longer evident by the judgment of others, it will still prove that they actually care about what they're doing. So in short, a passive-aggressive person knows how to care about their surroundings, their active work, and things how they stand for themselves. When they don't do that, they're being passive-aggressive the wrong way. So if only being passive-aggressive your own way, being a good thing is not actually true. Someone who doesn't actually understand that is not actually an anarchist. And by that measure alone, someone who's an anarchist does not pursue passive aggression. And that's all for now. Count me in, no tact.